Good day, everyone. So today we shall be looking at an interesting topic titled Pneumatic Devices. In this device, we shall be considering how compressed air or compressed liquid can be used in mechanical system. How can we achieve generation of energy from compressed air or liquid using these devices? So we have some of the devices we are going to be considering. And before we talk about them, let's define what these devices are. What are pneumatic devices? Okay, pneumatic devices utilize compressed air or sometimes compressed liquid to transmit energy and perform useful work. So we can say they are also machines that make use of compressed air or compressed liquid to transmit energy to perform a good work, perform useful work. So they are very fundamental to many modern machines. Alright? So some of these pneumatic devices are water wheel. We also have the turbines. We have the air compressor. We have the hydraulic lift and the water sprinkler. So that will make our content. So we are going to be considering each of these pneumatic devices one after the other. So let's start with the water wheel. The water wheel is a simple mechanical device that converts kinetic energy of falling water into rotary motion. This is a typical video of a local water wheel. You could see that this water wheel is performing a rotary motion. Now this rotary motion is obtainable because of this falling water that is coming from the same water wheel. As the water is being poured into the wheel, is moving the wheel in a rotary form. So the water is being as the water wheel rotates, it takes water from the moving stream, and then the content of the water is now what moves, because when there is water in the water wheel, it become a weight that moves the wheel, and then it still decant that water into this content. So and it continues like that. Now as it's turning, it can be used to power some machines like mill machines, okay, that was used in the past. So milling machines in the past were powered by water wheel. So as this water wheel is turning, it will be turning the milling machine, which will invariably will be performing the work of milling uh, your materials, your food content. So this is how the water wheel operates. In this case now, it's making use of what liquid, although the liquid is not fully compressed, but as it's being taken into this content, let's pause it a little and have a video, a closer look of it. Now look at it here now. This container that is in the water wheel takes water, and as it takes water, it is the water inside the wheel, inside the content, that propel or rotate the wheel. And as it's being rotated, it is being decanted into this container, which still pour it back to the moving stream, and it goes on and on. So this movement is able to generate energy. Alright. So aside from this, let's talk about the turbine as another pneumatic device. So this is a typical turbine. So a turbine is also a rotary machine that converts energy of moving fluid, just like water as you could see here, into mechanical energy. Right? So as this water is moving right now, is rotating this turbine. In this case now, unlike the water wheel, the turbine makes use of moving stream, moving water to rotate. And like being rotated by the water, it cannot be used to generate electricity. So most time we use turbine in generating electricity, okay, or we use it in powering some various modern machine. All right. So as the water rotates, mechanical energy is being generated, which is used to generate electricity. All right. So these are the turbine work, and we have different design. We have the Kaplan turbine, we have the Pecto turbine, and so on and so forth. But the major purpose is to make use of moving stream in rotating the object, which invariably supply energy, okay, convert its mechanical energy into electrical energy or any other form of energy that can be used. So this also makes use of liquid, though in this case the liquid is not compressed fully like that, but it is diverted in a way that it rotates. So that's how the turbine machine or device work. There's another one that that we call the air compressor. An air compressor, or sometimes we call it air pump, mechanically decrease air volume and increase its pressure. That's how it operates. What it does, it compresses the volume of the air, okay, in the container. And when air is compressed, let us look at this diagram here. Now, air is being taken in from here outside into the air compressor. Now, as the air gets into this air compressor, the volume is being reduced. The volume that it can occupy in the container is being reduced by this movement, by this object here. So it reduces the volume at which the air can occupy rather in the compressor. And when the volume of air is reduced, it releases pressure. And it is that high pressure that now generates the energy that is being produced there. This energy that is being produced by the air is capable of driving motors or drilling machine or sprayer. Okay, so that's how it operates. It takes in air and compresses the volume of the air, and then the air releases its pressure, and which invariably releases energy. The energy released to what is used in driving air motors, pneumatic hammers, drill, the drillers, and paint sprayers. So that's how the air compressor works. So it makes use of decreased volume leads to increased pressure. Decreased volume leads to increased pressure, which invariably give us potential energy that is being used for operation. Alright, so having said that, let's consider another pneumatic device. Okay, before we do that, let's look at some of the application that we mentioned earlier on the air compressor. Now with the air compressor, this man here can make use of paint sprayer. This paint sprayer is usable here because as the man taking the air, as the air is being sent into the host, okay, the volume of the air is reduced and the energy it releases is what pushes the spray that this man is using in painting. It is the energy that is being released by the compressed air that releases the spray that we use. The same principle applies to L drill. The L drill also operates like the paint sprayer. The only difference is that the air drill is used for making holes in the wall or in an object. So the same energy that is being produced by the air also forces the drilling um, machine to make the hole, and it's also applicable to sand blasting. Okay, this is just surface preparation and cleaning. Make use of this principle of compressed air. So now let's talk about the next pneumatic device. This is called the hydraulic lift, and it makes of a principle named after a scientist called Pascal. The principle is called Pascal's principle. One of the principles says, it said, pressure applied to an enclosed fluid is transmitted undiminished to every portion of the fluid and the wall of the containing vessel. So what is Pascal principle saying? Pascal principle is simply saying that when you apply a little pressure in a fluid that is in a enclosed container, you could see here. Now, this is a typical example of how Pascal principle operates. By the time this piston is being pressed by the man here, it pushes the liquid inside its host, and the liquid inside its host, because of the pressure that has been exerted by this piston here, the liquid receives the pressure and transmit that pressure to the other part of the enclosed vessel, which invariably pushes this vehicle up. It's the energy that is being released by here, by this side, that pushes this vehicle up. And it operates on that principle that once a little pressure is exerted on one end of the closed vessel, it transmits that energy, okay, undiminished to the other end, which which is being applied on this hydraulic lift. So this is how hydraulic lift work. This is actually hydraulic jack. This is an example of how hydraulic lift is being applied. So this is a diagram of an hydraulic jack jacking a vehicle to move up. Okay, so you only need to apply a small force which generates the high force through the principle of Pascal. Alright, so let us consider some other examples of the application of Pascal principle. Another application of Pascal principle is in hydraulic water pump. You could see here as the little pressure is being exerted in the well, it pushes more water out because it's the same liquid. So energy is being transmitted in the well, and it pushes it up, and then you can have your water. As long as the little pressure is being exerted continuously, higher force is being applied on the content of water in the well, and then you receive it because it's in an enclosed vessel. So we have talked about that of hydraulic press, the one we saw earlier. That of hydraulic jack rather, the one we saw earlier. It's also applicable in hydraulic press. Okay, the hydraulic press is just used for bending and also pressing materials. Make use of the principle of Pascal as well to perform work. All right. So the last but not the least is the garden sprinkler. The garden sprinkler makes use of Newton's third law of motion. That law simply states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So how does this principle apply? How does this principle apply to garden sprinkler? So this is a typical video of a garden sprinkler. So how does it work? Now, as water is being ejected from the nozzles, okay, of this garden sprinkler, now that ejected water creates causes a backward force that makes this sprinkler to rotate. Okay, so it is a result of the ejected water that moves this, that causes the rotation of the sprinkler, which make it to spread the water. It is the rotation of the sprinkler that causes the spreading of the water on the garden. That's why it is being called garden sprinkler. So the law is applicable here, the third law of motion. So the action here is the ejection of the water, while the reaction is the rotation of the nozzle as a result of just like when a driver presses the brake, that's the action. The reaction is that everyone jacks forward. Okay, but in this case, instead of jacking forward, it leads to the rotation of the nozzles of the garden sprinkler. So this is how we make use of either compressed air, as we have seen in air compressor, or compressed liquid, as we have seen in garden sprinkler, in hydraulic lift, in production of energy. I hope you have learned something today on the usage of compressed air and liquid in generating energy for use forward. So I would like to draw my curtain here today. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye for now.